Who is my favorite player on your favorite team? Welcome, football fans, to another NFL rankings video on the BLV. In this video, I rank my favorite player on every NFL team. If that sounds good, spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni and subscribe. And let me know in the comments, who is your favorite NFL player? If we get 100 likes, I will rank the best player on every NFL team from 32 to 1. Let's get started with my favorite players in the NFL. Beginning with number 32, the team that I felt least confident, it was kind of by default who my favorite player was. There wasn't a true standout. That's not to say I don't like this player. Again, this list is from like to love. There is no hate in this video. So, at number 32, I have the Tennessee Titans' Jeffrey Simmons. My choice for the Titans is Simmons because I appreciate his game in terms of really well-rounded player, physical, dominant force of a defensive tackle, can stuff the run, can get to the quarterback, gritty, tough. I think he epitomizes what Tennessee has been all about in recent years. He's explosive and he is very powerful. Jeff Simmons, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated defensive tackles because I don't think he's really considered in the truly elite, but I'd put him in that class. So at number 32, I have the Titans' Jeffrey Simmons, who might be their best player, actually. At number 31, the Carolina Panthers' Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard, as am I, is a Canadian. So that certainly helps. He's one of the more fun Canadians in the NFL. So that helps. He's also a really underrated running back right now in the league. Explosive, fast, quick, elusive. Hubbard broke out last year in a big way, and I thought he carried the load for an underrated Carolina rushing attack. He's going to be their starter once again in 2025, and he's going to be complemented by Rico Dowdle. I think Hubbard is just one of those guys that slept on, and he wears that Canadian flag on the back of his helmet. You got to love that. At least I do. So at number 31, I have Chuba, who also has an all-name team quality name. At number 30, Foye Oluokun of the Jacksonville Jags. Now, this is probably an outside-the-box selection for Jacksonville. I considered Brian Thomas here, but only one season. It's hard to pick a rookie, I will say. Oluokun, I've always liked, and it's because I like reckless, crazy linebackers. I like guys that are going to make 170 to 190 tackles because they're just flying around. They're sacrificing their body. Like, Oluokun has been one of those guys the last 3 seasons in a row, maybe even more. He's been near the top of the league in terms of tackles. He's near the line of scrimmage constantly. He's tracking down running backs sideline to sideline. And he is just so fast and reckless. And that's why I enjoy his game, because he does not have any regard for his body. So that's why I enjoy that type of linebacker play. A guy that's just willing to go out there and just sacrifice for his team. He's also a smart, instinctive linebacker. To make that many tackles, you have to be. He sees the run game before it happens. So I really like this player. I have since he was in Atlanta. At number 29, I have Quinnen Williams of the New York Jets. The Jets was a little bit more difficult. I almost decided on Garrett Wilson, And maybe even last year I would have gone with Sauce Gardner, but I just, something about Sauce is kind of not appealing to me right now. But at number 29, I've always liked Quinnen Williams. Even his brother, I considered Quincy as well. But Quinnen, what I like about him, I've loved him since he came out of the draft. And I like how powerful he is. I think, like, in terms of defensive tackles in the NFL, he is a prototypical 3 technique with extreme power. He cannot be moved. He bull rushes you and just constantly disrupts. Run game, pass game, complete player. Really kind, soft personality in comparison to what his play style is. He's kind of dorky, but he's kind of fun. It's very hard to dislike him on or off the field. He's just a big bear of a guy. So I like Quinnen Williams. I think he's an excellent football player, kind of stuck in a really tough environment in New York with the Jets, but those defenses have been good, and those defensive lines have been stout, and a big reason, the centerpiece, that is Quinnen Williams. At number 28, another defensive tackle. I promise you, this entire list is not defensive tackles, just the later portion of the list is filled with them, and DeForest Buckner. I guess I like defensive tackles. I like the physicality. I like the physical dominance. I like to see them shed blocks, use their hands, get inside, and just dominate offenses. And DeForest Buckner has been one of those guys for a long, long time. I think he is constantly underrated. Constantly. He's done it on 2 different teams in different schemes, and he is dominated at a very high level, whether it be as a run defender or a pass rusher. He is a freakish-looking human being. He is massive, and he looks like he doesn't look like a defensive tackle. He looks far too slim to be a defensive tackle. He has one of the most intimidating aesthetics in all of football when it comes to the face mask and the visor sometimes, and the look that he brings to a football field. He just looks like what I want a defensive lineman to look like, and his play is just well-rounded, just really no flaws, just absolutely long, powerful, fantastic football player that honestly, every single time I see a list ranking the best players in the NFL, he is constantly too low. So at number 28, DeForest Buckner. At number 27, a new member of this list, Nick Bonito of the Denver Broncos. He will probably move up this list. And the Broncos wasn't that easy either, because I also really love Zach Allen as well. But Nick Bonito, he's just a very unique edge rusher, and what he was able to do last year, I loved him coming out of the draft. He was one of my favorite guys. I liked his ability to use his hands, bend around the corner, and that is translated to the NFL. But the freakish element of his game has translated to his just rare athletic ability to be in passing lanes and pick passes off and go for touchdowns and be this unique playmaker for this Denver defense where he just seemingly can do everything, right? Drop in coverage, stop the run, be a speed threat off the edge to get to the quarterback. Bonito is just a unique playmaker with incredible instincts and awareness. And of course, he's also a phenomenal pass rusher. So he has been one of the breakout players of 2024, and I expect more great things in 2025. At number 26, a legend of the game. I had to put Khalil Mack as my favorite Charger. I considered Herbert at first, but he's kind of boring for me. Ladd McConkey just has not had enough play or time in the NFL. Derwin James was the closest, but his inconsistency is something that's always kind of bugged me in terms of 1 year he's amazing, 1 year he's injured. But with Khalil Mack, he's just like what I look at and I see an edge rusher. Khalil Mack is a prototype edge rusher, and he's also that quiet, mean guy. He doesn't say a lot, but he goes out there and he dominates on every single Sunday, and he's not this annoying personality. He's actually just a very kind of lean, mean demeanor. And I appreciate that about Khalil Mack. He's very old school in that regard. I've rarely ever even heard him speak. Mack is just a professional. And this is what an edge rusher should be. Extremely powerful, all around in his peak, his prime. He could do literally everything. Hand in the dirt, stand up, 3-4 outside linebacker, inside linebacker, 4-3 D end, could probably play D tackle. So strong that way, powerful. Uses that speed to power to just dominate tackles on a regular basis. And he has had a resurgence sort of in Los Angeles, but he's always been a really great player. And it's nice to see him on a competitive team. So I have Khalil Mack, who I think is a Hall of Famer without a doubt, at number 26. At number 25, another edge rusher here, TJ Watt, who I think has been arguably the best of his generation. I'm saying arguably to be nice to others like Myles Garrett, but I feel like TJ Watt has been my type of edge rusher in terms of he can rush the quarterback, but I mean, he just does everything so well, and he plays with such a high level of IQ and awareness and understanding, kind of like what I was talking about with Nick Benito. But TJ Watt has perfected this thing. I mean, I've seen him drop back in coverage and pick off Matthew Stafford. I've seen him just strip sack when everybody knows you should double team him in the biggest moment of the game. He gets a strip sack. He gets a sack. He's dominated the NFL in terms of pass rushing, in terms of being a sack artist, in terms of the way he rushes the quarterback is somewhat unique for a player that is as good as he is in terms of his hand usage, his quickness, his ability to kind of use his head fakes and his body leans and all that sort of stuff to get to the quarterback, as opposed to just the Von Miller bend, although he can do some of that stuff. I just feel like TJ Watt is just a complete edge rusher, in terms of that Steeler player, where it's you're more of an outside linebacker. You would have been categorized as a 3-4 outside linebacker in 2006, but this guy has taken that position and evolved it, in my opinion. So at number 25, great player. I mean, I just respect how hard he works, how consistent he is, how much of a playmaker he is on Sundays. So the Steelers, TJ Watt. At number 24, Jonathan Jones, a unique addition to this list for the Washington Commanders. I wasn't sure about the Commanders, and I realized that they signed a borderline Patriot legend in Jonathan Jones, who's always been one of the most underrated corners in football, I think, since about 2017. This guy has been one of the best nickel corners in football, and he's been a part of championship teams for my favorite team. A great leader, a guy that's been a very good chess piece and game plan player for Bill Belichick's defenses, being asked to cover guys like Tyreek Hill in the biggest games of his life. Quick, extremely fast, played on special teams, played outside, played inside, doesn't really say a word, like a prototypical Patriot throughout his tenure. And now he's going to go to a team that's likely to contend, which is exciting. Jonathan Jones deserves more love from the rest of the NFL fandom. I have him at number 24. At number 23, Bijan Robinson is my favorite Falcon. And the reason for that is I just love how he plays. He's a running back's running back. He is not the most one-hit explosive big play touchdown guy, but the way that he cuts and he moves, his jump cuts, his ability to just create with short, decisive, quick cutting ability, he just shifts through the defense in a very fun manner. He's also extremely smooth. The way that he catches the football, effortless. Everything he does is effortless, right? He's not, in my opinion, for an elite running back, which he's definitely top 5, right? He can do everything well. He's not the most explosive, but it's the nuances of his game and watching him and the way that he sees the holes develop, the way that he cuts and manipulates his runs. That's what I appreciate about Bijan Robinson. He is a very nuanced runner of the football. At number 22, I have Joe Thuney for the Chicago Bears. I know when I bring up these guys that have just recently been brought to their teams, it's a little bit of a punch in the face for the fandom. But when you have a guy like Joe Thuney, who is on the Patriots for many years where they won a lot of games, it's hard for me to pass up that choice. And it's hard for me to not hate a player on the Chiefs. And Joe Thuney was hard to hate because he's so good. He's so consistent. He's the just what you're looking for in a professional. He is a professional through and through. Just does his job, stays healthy, available for his team. One of the most excellent pass blockers in the NFL. Hasn't seemingly fallen off yet. Now he's going to go to a new team in Chicago. That's very exciting. So that makes me like him even more because now he's going to get a different level of recognition and appreciation. He's been a member of 2 different dynasties. He proved that he could do it in Kansas City and New England. He's been great in the run game, great in the pass game. You know, whatever a team is needed, left tackle, right? And for the Chiefs last year, even if he struggled at times. Like, Joe Thuney is just an unbelievable Hall of Fame caliber offensive lineman. At number 21, Calais Campbell, the big man, the giant Calais Campbell. He's just so lovable to me, like his personality. And actually, I think my love for Calais Campbell grew a ton in Miami, believe it or not, because there were a lot of like reports and clips and mic'd up things with Calais Campbell in Miami, just showcasing his leadership. You know, he is one of the older players in the NFL. He is a legend of the game. He has been so versatile and so dependable throughout his career. You know, I remember in Arizona, he was extremely underrated early in his career. You know, he was playing like a 5 tech. And then in Jacksonville, he's playing a 4-3, like crash end style of player. And then he's playing D tackle in Baltimore, and he's playing D tackle in Miami. Like, he can play, he's played everywhere. Like, he's played end, he's played D tackle. He's so athletic, long arms, just everything about him. He's been a great run defender. Like, last year, he was the number 1 rated run defender at defensive tackle. He's been a great pass rusher in Jacksonville. He had like 14, 15 sack seasons. Like, just incredible versatility within his game, incredible well-rounded nature. And then on top of that, the personality. Great professional, great ambassador of the game, good human being, great leader, like shows football players how it's done. So yeah, I mean, I love everything that Calais Campbell stands for. And his voice is hilarious. At number 20, no, Joe, you already got picked. Taysom Hill is at number 20. Taysom Hill of the New Orleans Saints. I almost went with Brandon Cooks, but Brandon Cooks was a new member of the team, and I thought it was relatively close, and I didn't want too many former Patriots on this list. So I went with Taysom Hill, who I also love. Like, I mean, how could you not? If you're an NFL fan, how could you not love Taysom Hill unless you're a division rival fan? Like, Taysom Hill plays quarterback, tight end, running back, wide receiver, kick returner, up back, like could probably play punter. I mean, a guy does everything. He's tough as hell. He's physical. He tackles people. He catches the ball. He runs you over. He plays wildcat quarterback. He's actually played quarterback. Like, I don't know. Like, Taysom Hill is just a football player's football player. He's like an example of a guy that would have played in the 50s or 60s or 40s that is playing now in the NFL. Like, and he's such a great athlete. Like, he's one of the best athletes in the NFL. Just tough as nails. So I love Taysom Hill. At number 19, Leonard Williams of the Seattle Seahawks. I think if you know this channel, you would have guessed this one. I almost went with Kenneth Walker. I will say that. But Leonard Williams had arguably the best season of his career in 2024, which is crazy because he's been a very good player, like a borderline all-pro at times and an all-pro caliber player at times. And he's played on multiple different teams, multiple different schemes. But last year, I mean, he utterly dominated with his ability to get in passing lanes, block. I think he even blocked kicks, if I'm not mistaken, sacked the quarterback, dominated as a pass rusher. He was Mike McDonald's best defender last year, and he was a defensive player of the year candidate. He was that good last season. Leonard Williams is just one of those guys I've always liked because I feel like he's got a power game, but he's also got the quickness and he's got the length, and he's just a very complete interior defensive lineman who's played in all different systems, and he's played well in all those different systems. And yeah, I just always get the Richard Seymour type vibes with him. So at number 19, Leonard Williams. At number 18, Andrew Van Ginkel of the Minnesota Vikings. This one was actually pretty easy. It's probably not everybody's choice for the Vikings, but I love Andrew Van Ginkel. Like, he is one of my favorite edge rushers to watch, and he has been for a while. Like, I loved him in Miami. I thought he was super underrated, and I couldn't understand why other teams did not appreciate him or try to go after him or sign him, including my Patriots, who had him in for a workout one year, and they decided for some reason not to sign him. But he's an incredible, savvy playmaker. I mean, last year, he was lights out at getting in passing lanes and tipping passes and intercepting passes. He's had a little bit of a hybrid stand-up linebacker, edge setter type vibe to him. Last year, he truly, really dominated as an edge defender where he was able to get after the quarterback and bend and get. I mean, how could you not like him with his hair and his style and his recklessness and his fierce ability? Like, he's quick, he's twitchy, he's kind of a TJ Watt light. Like, but he's like, I don't know, it's something about the hair, like, gives me the Clay Matthews vibes. I mean, he's a perfect Viking. Like, he looks like one. So, but some of the plays he made last year was some of the best plays I saw by an NFL player. Like, it was absolutely unbelievable. His recognition, his timing, his anticipation, his break on the ball at times, or like his ability to just make a crazy play in any way, shape, or form. So at number 18, Andrew Van Ginkel. At number 17, Joe Flacco, otherwise known as January Joe. My appreciation for Joe Flacco stems back from his days defeating the Patriots in the playoffs. That deserves respect, but also my love for him has grown in recent years from his ability to come off the couch and give us entertaining football. And that's the thing about Joe Flacco is I also like David Njoku on this team, but then when I realized Joe Flacco signed, I had to say that Joe Flacco is the pick because, man, Joe Flacco, he's been in the NFL and he's just like, something about him right now. Like, I like him more now than I did back then just because there's something so effortless and fun about Joe Flacco being in the NFL right now. Like, he just does not care. Like, he's just out there having fun. He's out there slinging the rock 45 times. He's out there, like, sitting in the pocket like he's in 2004, a 2005 quarterback, just slinging the rock in the pocket, doesn't move an inch, just throws lasers, still got a strong arm. Bro's coming off the couch, starting games. So, I mean, Joe Flacco's cool. He's got the, like, aura to him, the old man aura. The players love him around him. He makes teammates better. I really enjoy Joe Flacco right now. I'm not going to lie. At number 16, CeeDee Lamb is my choice for the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb is arguably their best player next to Micah Parsons. He's 1A or 1B, but he's an excellent wide receiver. I think he's in the top 3 or 4 for sure. His route running chops are incredible. His quickness, his elusiveness, his ability to line up in every spot. And what I appreciate about him is how he just continues to rep after rep, down after down, dominate, and consistently be a target volume machine, just continuously getting first downs, continuously making plays, pointing for those first downs. And he's got a good combination of style, effort, and determination, but like in a cool way. Like, he's not loud. He's very quiet, but he's also cool. He's got this quiet cool, and you don't often see that from a receiver. If you're cool, you're loud. That's often what it is. But CeeDee Lamb has walked this line where his aesthetic is cool. What he does on the field is cool. His look, his fashion, everything about him is cool, but he's also very, very mellow. And that is hard to find. Ever since the days of him taking that cell phone from his girlfriend, I've liked this guy. I'm not going to lie. At number 15, Joe Mixon of the Houston Texans. And I could have went with CJ Stroud here, but I went with Joe Mixon because I thought he had a better year last year. And I just felt like I liked Joe Mixon last year a little bit more. So I went with Joe Mixon, and even Nico Collins could have gotten a mention as well. But Joe Mixon, I've always been a huge fan of. I feel like he's always been super underrated, elusive, patient, really a phenomenal vision, in my opinion. Like one of the best backs in terms of vision, finding the hole, making a play, incredibly clutch in big moments. I thought last year he was at times the Texans' offense. He was carrying the load, and this is difficult to find for a running back at his age. Like he has been doing it for years, down in, down out, season in, season out. Doesn't matter the offensive line. Like rarely has had a good offensive line. He makes the offensive lines around him better. He's an effortless receiver as well, taking yards after the catch there. I just love his smoothness. He's not the fastest, he's not the quickest, but he's one of the smoothest running backs in the NFL. At number 14, Chris Jones. Yeah, you didn't think I'd have a Chief this high on my list, but Chris Jones has been my favorite Chief for quite some time. I think a guy like Worthy is maybe moving up in that discussion. But, I appreciate some of their players. It's just hard to get past the hatred for the team. But Chris Jones has been my guy on the Chiefs for a long time. Like, when, 2017-ish, I want to say. Like, I feel like he's just what you would ask for from your best defender on your team. Like, he carries his unit. He's incredibly clutch. Like, he's one of the most clutch NFL players, period. He's in the top 3 or 4 without a doubt. He's a monster of a pass rusher. He can win with quicks, burst, or power. He can line up at edge or inside. He can tip passes, has incredible awareness and instincts. He's very smart. He's actually a very good speaker. You can tell that he's very intellectual as a player. And he's got a cool personality. Like he's kind of wacky-ish. He's kind of crazy. Well, like a defensive tackle should be. But he is also very smart about it. Like I just like his vibe a lot. He's not arrogant, but he's confident. I like Chris Jones. Stone Cold Chris Jones. He is stone cold in the big moments. At number 13, the Cheetah. Another former Chief here. Tyreek Hill at number 13. Now, I would have had Tyreek probably higher last year or the year previous. Some stuff off the field kind of bothers me with Tyreek Hill, whether it be his personal life or just some of the decisions he makes at times. But I feel like as a player, it's just hard for me to get past how much I enjoy watching Tyreek Hill play football. Like, he's just something I've never seen before. Like, he's so electric, so quick, so fast. The combination of speed and quickness, horizontal movement and vertical movement, I've just never seen it before. And he's probably the most explosive football player I have ever seen and I might ever see for quite some time. Like, he is ridiculous. His ability to just create with the ball, his ability to scare a defense, his ability to run by you, his ability to run short, crisp, horizontal routes. I mean, this guy turned into he turned from Devin Hester into Randy Moss within the matter of a couple of years. And I just feel like he's a guy that he could play inside, outside, he could be your vertical threat, he could be your slot receiver. He's just such a good player. He could be your running back, at times if you want. Your returner, he could be an all-pro there. I mean, Tyreek is just an incredible athlete. I think that's what I appreciate about him. At number 12, Kyle Van Noy of the Baltimore Ravens. I considered Lamar and I considered Zay Flowers. Initially, Zay Flowers was actually my pick until I remembered that Kyle Van Noy was on the Ravens. Because Kyle Van Noy is a Patriot, at heart. A multi-time Super Bowl champ. He kind of came into his own as a player, as a Patriot, once he was traded from Detroit as a former second-round pick of the Lions, kind of turned from a bust into a really underrated gem of a player that played linebacker for New England, played edge rusher for New England, was a very... what I like about Kyle Van Noy is he seems like a cool guy off the field. I've always enjoyed watching his interviews, his insight to the game. He's very appreciative and he's not cocky, but on the field, he's kind of a dick. And I like that about him. On the field, I like watching him because he's a agitator. He likes to chirp people. He likes to get in their face. He's a big game player. He's always been excellent in the biggest games of the season. He's been so good in every category. I mean, his sack production as of recently has been phenomenal. I thought he was one of the best players on the Ravens defense the last 2 years. He's a playmaker. He's got great instincts. He can set the edge. He can rush the passer. I mean, just a really complete all-around awesome player with a high IQ for the game. Played in multiple teams, multiple schemes, very high level. Kyle Van Noy is my favorite Raven. At number 11, Jahmyr Gibbs of the Detroit Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs is just my type of running back. Like, if you were to describe a Mitch running back, Jahmyr Gibbs would be one of the headliners of that list. I loved this guy ever since I watched him play Alabama versus Texas, and he took like a 70-yard touchdown to the house. Jahmyr Gibbs, what I love about it, there's this quickness and speed at like a lightning rate that he's able to achieve with incredible elusiveness. It's just rare that you find a running back that is this smooth, this fast, this explosive, but also can make people miss the way he does. It's very rare. And then he's also a very good route runner, a very good receiver, which is another element of running backs that I always loved. I've always loved that element of the running back position. Can you run the ball, but can you receive? Can you pass block? Can you take a screen? You know, and Gibbs is just arguably the most explosive back in football in all elements of the game. Any play that Jahmyr Gibbs has the ball could be a potential highlight reel play. And that is a player that I will always gravitate towards. So Gibbs is at number 11. Entering the top 10, it's going to get exciting, guys. If you haven't already, Gronk, spike the like button. Remember, 100 likes, and I will rank the best player on every NFL team from the worst best player to the best player, okay? That's how it's going to work. At number 10, Max Crosby, who might be my favorite defensive player in the NFL. What I love about Max Crosby is he has an old school edge to him. He hates his rivals, which I appreciate. He's not a buddy. He's a Raider. He's tough. He's kind of cocky, arrogant, right? But at the same time, he's just a football player. His motor is relentless and unbelievable. There are few defensive ends I've ever seen to be able to play the volume of plays, to have the impact that he has with the limited amount of talent that he has played around, to be able to dominate the way that he does as, you know, a pass rusher or even a run defender. He has been arguably the most well-rounded edge player without having the prototypical physical freak skills of a lot of other guys. He was a 4th-round pick, remember. This is a guy that grinded, that overcame addiction, right? He has a great off-the-field story. He's a very cool personality as well, a guy that you would feel like you could hang out with. But at the same time, you don't want to get on the other side of the line of him because he's got that old school edge. He's not afraid to get in Patrick Mahomes' face and tell him off. Like, he does not care. So Max Crosby is a very lovable player in my opinion. The Raiders have a lot of guys that I like. At number 9 is George Kittle. My favorite 49er was going to land in the top 10 because it's my second favorite team right now. I just couldn't really decide. And it ended up being beside Christian McCaffrey and George Kittle. And I ultimately went with George Kittle. He did play last year, obviously more than McCaffrey, and he was very good last year. He was probably the best tight end in football. And what I love about Kittle, I think he most resembles Gronk. Like, out of all the tight ends of this generation, he most resembles Gronk. Explosiveness, big plays from the tight end position after the catch and down the field, but also an excellent blocker that's willing to be physical. He is a true all-time caliber inline wide tight end. Like, this is what I think of as a tight end. I think of fast, physical. I think of breaking tackles. I think of fearlessness. I think of blocking. I think of edge. I don't think of smooth and soft and pretty at tight end. I think of physical. I think of get in your face. And Kittle is this fun personality at tight end that's rare to find, that's similar to Gronk, right? Because usually this position does not have this type of vibe to it. Like, Kittle has really brought an aura to the position as well that I feel like Gronk, Kelsey in their own regards have as well. But to me, like, tight ends of past generations and a lot of tight ends of this generation, they just don't have that personality, that spark, that fun to them that George Kittle has. And then his well-rounded game. He's a huge wrestling fan, which I am as well. So he seems like a relatable, fun guy. So at number 9, George Kittle. At number 8, Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. I think you guys know why this one is ranked here. The Christian Watson video essay that I made a couple years ago now is one of the biggest and brightest and best videos I've ever made on YouTube. And that had a significant impact on basically my life on YouTube. So that's a huge reason. On top of that, I just fell in love with the Christian Watson, the individual, the player. I feel like he's had a lot of success, but he's also not quite reached the heights that I had hoped for. And still, to me, he's one of those players that he's always on the grasp. He's always there. He's right there to grasp that peak or that ability that you see, right? In terms of like yards per route run and things like that. He's always at the top of the league. It's about health for him, which unfortunately right now he's injured. And it's about staying consistent, staying consistent and staying on the field. But he is one of the most explosive receivers with the ball in his hands and down the field in the NFL. And he kind of was the reason I started to gravitate towards Green Bay. I started to kind of like this new generation of Packer football. So that's a huge reason that he's this high on the list. So at number 8, Christian Watson. At number 7, Matthew Stafford, who's been a longtime favorite of mine. Not quite as favorite as he used to be. I think like if I would have done this list like 3 or 4 years ago, he would have been in my top 3 probably. But Stafford has just like kind of become, it's Matthew Stafford. Like, and also like his wife, bro, like done some things, that said some things, like just overall, I'm just not a fan. But Matthew Stafford as a player, like there's few things that I like more in the NFL than watching Matthew Stafford run a 2-minute drill. Like there's few things. And then when Matthew Stafford is playing at his best, like he did a couple times this year against the Eagles, against the Lions, there's just games that he's had over the last couple of years where it's like almost nobody else could play the way he did here. Like nobody could throw these lasers as consistently into tight windows, standing in the pocket and getting smashed. Like Matthew Stafford plays quick, plays accurate, plays with a rocket arm, multiple delivery points. One of the last remaining of his era, one of the last remaining pocket passers with that sort of exquisite delivery. I enjoy Matthew Stafford's game. I enjoy when he is at his best, he is electric football. He is just so much fun to watch. At number 6, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow I like because he's a big personality, but he's also very serious about his craft and very serious about football. And that's first and foremost. He is, I think very cool. He is Joe Cool. Like very cool guy, like effortlessly cool. Where it's like guy pulls off any outfit, like wears any style of sunglasses, like coat, bro's like having like farming for aura on the football field, doing circles and throwing the ball. He's aura farming out there, but he's not, you know what I mean? He's just a cool guy. And then you combine that with the style of play where it's like, yeah, he's cool. And he seems like a guy that wouldn't play the way he does, but he is so quick, so smart, so accurate, so precise. So he's got this weird personality of like a quarterback that typically would play a more reckless style of game with the very calculated nature. He's kind of Tom Brady-ish, just in terms of, having that look of a quarterback, that feel, that aura, that leadership, that big game, get on my back, I'm going to carry you. But at the same time, he's very intellectual, very, very detailed. That is a quarterback to me. Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, right? That's Joe Burrow. So that's why I really like him, especially when he's playing at his best with his receivers. He's so much fun to watch. At number 5, for totally different reasons, Jameis Winston. This is not a joke. I love Jameis Winston, okay? The horse is preparing for battle, but victory comes from the Lord. Jameis Winston is one of my favorite football players because every time he steps onto a football field, you do not know what you're going to get. Jameis Winston is like a box of chocolates. You might get 3 picks, 2 pick sixes, 2 strip sacks, and a disastrous game, but also comedy. It might be so bad that it's good. But Jameis might also go out there and throw the ball 45 times for 465 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 picks, win you your fantasy week, win you your bet, win you your game. Jameis Winston just plays in a manner that I have never really seen that often from a quarterback, where it's a player that's not considered to be good at his position, but his caliber to play at a level of good is way higher. Like his peak, his ceiling of ability in certain games is so outlandishly high. There's a reason he was a first overall pick. And then you combine that with the personality. I mean, the guy is hilarious, like genuinely hilarious. Like everything he does is funny. Whether it's a dance, it's a pregame speech, it's a postgame conference, it's interviewing a player at the Super Bowl, it's singing in the streets of New Orleans. Like this guy is genuinely just enjoying life. He is what you should want to strive towards to being a genuine human being. Like he is hilarious. So at number 5, Jameis Winston. At number 4, Chris Godwin, who I often call Christopher Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And you guys know honestly, bro, maybe even including the Patriots, the Bucs probably have more players that I love than any team in the NFL. Like, genuinely. Like, I could have went with Mike Evans here. I could have went with Levante David. I could have went with Baker Mayfield. I could have went with Tristan Wirfs. I could have went with Jamel Dean. I could have went with Vita Vea. I mean, there's so many players. Antoine Winfield. I could have went with so many players on this team. But Chris Godwin is the one that stands out. You know, and I think it all comes back to that moment where the guy got hurt and I couldn't even control myself on a live stream from crying. Like I was legitimately crying when the guy got hurt on a meaningless play at the end of the game. You know, and it's because everything that Chris Godwin is as a football player is everything I like about a receiver. He's fucking tough as fuck. Like that's how you describe Chris Godwin. He is tough as fuck. Look it up in the dictionary as to what that means. Godwin will run through a wall to get a first down. I don't know how many plays I've seen Chris Godwin run a slot screen and run through 6 different people and break 3 different tackles and get the first down. I don't know how many plays I've seen him run some sort of crossing route over the middle of the field and get absolutely annihilated and catch the football with his great hands, Velcro hands, tough, physical, can play versatile football, can take a handoff, you know, at his best, can take a handoff, can catch 10 passes in a game, can line up outside, can line up inside, can create yards after catch with the best of them, can be a red zone weapon, like just toughness, like grit. Like that is Chris Godwin, and a great person, seemingly. I've never met him, but a great person. I think we're also the same age. So that's also cool too. At number 3, Drake May of the New England Patriots. My quarterback. Of course, he was going to be high on the list. I was already a fan of Drake May before he was even drafted to the Patriots. And he was my favorite quarterback in the draft class last year. So that exemplifies everything. Like, it multiplies my love for Drake May because I see the potential, I know the potential, I studied the potential, and it got to my team. And then I witnessed it on my team, and the life that he has brought the Patriots has been exhilarating. Like, Drake May is the reason that Patriots fans have hope. You know, regardless of everything else that's gone down, all the turmoil at the end of the Patriots dynasty, Drake May is providing us hope, right? So he may be the chosen one for the next era. And then you just look at his play style. Like, he can do everything. He's an explosive passer. He's a great runner. He's got cool, different, like, ad-lib plays. I mean, that play against Tennessee, forget about it. He's got so much untapped potential. He's extremely young. His personality is this country boy that just loves his family and his brothers, loves to play basketball, football, you know, a little bit of Madden, some ping pong. But the guy is just a fun guy, like, has a really infectious personality. Yeah, it's just Drake May. He's a fun guy, man. Fun kid. So at number 3, Drake May. At number 2, Saquon Barkley of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Saquon had kind of fallen off for my fandom in 2023 and 2020, just 2023, I guess. Not 2022. I was a huge fan of Saquon on the run with the Giants the year they made the playoffs. But just being in New York on a really bad team and the amount of injuries that he's had really hindered my love for Saquon. But I'd always been a ride or die for Saquon Barkley from his rookie season. Beyond that, telling people that he was the best running back in football when not a lot of people thought that at times. And I just feel like he is one of the most explosive running backs in NFL history. Like, even now, post all the injuries he's had, he is still one of the biggest home run hitters I've ever seen. Honestly, last year with the Eagles, I have not seen a running back hit that many home run touchdowns in, like, forever. In my entire life, like, maybe prime Adrian Peterson, and that's about it. Like, his ability to take a 50, 60-yard touchdown, it is one of the most fun things in the NFL. That, to me, like, and then Saquon is powerful. He's quick. He's explosive. He's fast. He's a good receiver. He's a pass blocker. He does everything well. He approaches the game with such heart and passion. It was awesome to see him win a Super Bowl, especially in the first year, to prove everybody wrong. You know, so best running back in football, probably maybe the best player last year. So at number 2, Saquon Barkley. And at number 1, my favorite player currently playing in the NFL is Josh Allen. I think a lot of you know that already, but it is Josh Allen to solidify it. Obviously, Josh Allen was one of my guys coming out of the NFL draft, which just so happens to be probably like my favorite draft class in recent years. You know, it had Baker, it had Lamar, it had Saquon, if I'm not mistaken. You know, it had a lot of these players that I really, really like in the same draft class. And a lot of the guys that are making the NFL what it is right now. And Josh Allen just does things at quarterback that I've never seen. And he's so much fun. He's not only a great player, but he is so much fun. He's tough. He's explosive. Like, his arm is ridiculous. He has, like, the strongest arm I've ever seen. He's built like Cam Newton, but he plays a more refined passing style. He can be reckless, but he's also somewhat calculated at the same time. He makes some throws that I've never seen people make, like the throws he makes on the sidelines. Like, I've never seen people make those throws in my life. He can throw the ball like on a rope through 2 people, through multiple defenders. He's carried his team in such a way that is so much fun to watch. He puts up stat lines that nobody has ever put up, like 350 passing yards and like 70 rushing yards. Like, people don't do that in the NFL. That's like Madden shit. You know, like, Josh Allen has like crazy ass stats. sometimes. And it's because of the way he plays. You know, there's not many quarterbacks you'll see where they're in a playoff game and literally every play of the game on certain drives of Josh Allen. It's like quarterback power with Josh Allen. You know, throw from Josh Allen, quarterback power, throw, quarterback power. It's like every play is Josh Allen. And then like some of the plays, like that play he had with I think it was Amari Cooper last year. Like what? He threw the ball, he got it back, he ran into he dove in for a touchdown. Like that run against the Chiefs, you know. So Josh was doing that in college. He was so much fun to watch in college. He was so reckless. He was so raw. And then he refined it. He worked on his craft. He improved his mechanics. And he became one of the best players in the NFL, if not the best player in the NFL. And he's a great, cool guy. Seems like a very good human being. Very down to earth. Now he's married to Haley Steinfeld, who I was a big fan of as an actress too. So yeah, I mean, it's just cool, man. Josh Allen's my favorite player. So those are my favorite players on every NFL team. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a Gronk spike of the like button, because if you do and we get 100 likes, I'll be ranking the best player on every NFL team. Thanks for watching. It's Mitch. Peace, guys.